rates as well. So we think that's going to be a benefit to the business community as well. And Karen, if we can go ahead, please, and let's go ahead and skip up to slide number 4, please. Okay. While she's doing that, I'll just go ahead with that. And I think we've already covered that one. I slide mistaken. Good thing for me, it's Friday morning. I'm operating a bit slow today. But Karen, if we could please go to slide number 5. Thank you. Now, as far as where we're at, as we said, we're in the process of installing about 75 miles of fiber optic lines throughout the community. Once again, we will be connecting a fiber optic line to every home in business, or at least having the availability of a fiber optic home through every home and business in Pella. The exciting news is when you look at it from our standpoint, one of the challenges that we had is when the community authorized the utility in 2018, we took it at the city government level as a mandate to provide services to the community. And we took that very seriously. And one of the goals that we had is we targeted the spring of this year to providing services to our community. And I would tell you, after being in government for a number of years, but basically from authorization to providing service in 3 years, this is moving light speed for city government on the matter. So we're very proud of the progress that we've made for the utility, but we do anticipate starting to serve test customers within the next 30 days. And our plans are we're currently scheduled to begin offering services to the community in the spring and summer of this year. So once again, this will be a significant milestone for us. We're very excited to provide services to the community. And I want to assure you, our sole focus is providing world-class internet speeds to the community, as long as excellent customer service. That's going to be the benchmark of the utility. In addition, we've taken extra and additional steps to ensure reliability in the system. So we are very excited about Pella Fiber. And with that, Karen, I don't know if we have any questions in regards to Pella Fiber.
I do not see any right at the moment.
Okay.
So
But
sorry
hey,
about that.
Karen, there is one.
There is one.
The
Okay.
question
Here we
is,
go.
how can you learn if a home will be in the served area if you purchase near or outside of town?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As far as the served area, it quite as simply as Pella Fiber, initially the services that we will be providing and the network we will be providing is currently located within the city limits. We do plan to expand outside the city limits, and that will happen in due course of time on it. And so what I would do is just go to the city's website and also the Pella Fiber website, and we'll have up-to-date information on the service areas that are currently eligible for services from Pella Fiber. But we're keenly aware of the need to provide services outside the city limits. And currently we are working on business cases to providing those services outside the city limits as well.
What is that URL? So I can type it in the chat for us to check if you're in the service area.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll rely on Keita and Doi to provide that information. If you can help me out with that one, please.
It's pellafiber.com, and then there's a big Get Started button on the front page, and that will take you to the registration. Even if you're outside of the area, you can still make a submission, and we're keeping all of those submissions for later growth.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, Karen, if we don't have any additional questions on Pella Fiber, and I guess I would say too, it's a good thing on these presentations in the 7 o'clock in the morning as people are still waking up, but I'm sure we'll liven up with some questions on some of these next topics as well. So let's go ahead and talk about those housing developments that Mayor Waard referenced earlier today. Karen, if we could advance to slide number 6. This is probably the easiest way to show the progress that we've made with providing additional housing for the community. Like the PACE Alliance, the city of Pella has been very hard at work on this initiative with it. But in essence, the housing assessment that was conducted in our community a few years back identified the need for roughly 966 housing units to be constructed in our community to meet housing demands through the year 2025. The pie chart on the left, as you can see, is it really was divided on all types of housing were needed in the community. The good news is, since the housing assessment is we've made remarkable progress on this in our partnership with the PACE Alliance and other partners within the community. It's really been a community initiative. But to date, the city of Pella has evaluated and approved plans for over 412 new housing units within our community. And we do have a chart on the progress showing by the housing type and the progress that we have been making. And I'll walk you through briefly some of the major projects that are going on in the community, but I want to emphasize there's others as well. And one of the neat things about the housing units that we're going to talk about is I think they hit across all housing spectrums, which is great for us because all housing is needed within the community. So Karen, if we can go to slide number 7, please. Now, as Mayor Waard stated, one of the exciting developments that we have down here is located on South Main Street, and that's the South Main development. This development is going to be ultimately about 38 units. Roughly the first half of the development or the first phase of the development has been constructed. But when we look at the estimated valuation of this, it's certainly going to be significant for the community. And I would preface my comments, when you look at the South Main development overall, this will be a showcase not only for the city of Pella, but really for the state of Iowa. This type of development is not commonly seen in Midwest cities, and we're certainly fortunate to have this type of housing development within our community. We're very excited. And for those of you that are into urban renewal and like to learn about projects in urban renewal, I think this is an excellent project on it. It's the home of the former Webster School site, and it's an area that we've been able to work with and redevelop into a very productive use for the city of Pella. So from the city standpoint, we're very excited about this project. I would also think that this is a kind of a showcase example of working with private developers and a number of community partners to really present a nice housing option for our community. Let's go ahead, please, Karen. Okay. And one of the other developments that we have out here, and I'm excited about this development, but we have a couple developments that are going on in the Boss London area. And this first one is the Estates of Peller, the Vintage Cooperative Project. And in describing this project, what I would say is this is for folks, a portion of this project is for folks they're 55 years or older and looking to really right size their housing needs. This development is located almost smack dab in the middle of the Boss Lawn and Golf Course, and it abuts holes number 1, 2, 17, and 18, just to orientate you folks to the map over there. But roughly, we have roughly 20 units that are dedicated to folks that may be 55 years and older looking to right size your community's housing needs. All the amenities that you would want to have in a housing development of that as well. In addition, it would also provide roughly 12 estate-style lots for homes that are very consistent in the Boss London development. We're very excited about this development, and one of the common themes when we got into the housing development business that we learned is infrastructure is a big deal. And trying to provide public infrastructure. So a lot of the incentives that the city has worked with developers on have been geared towards the public infrastructure. The numbers that you see up on the board when you look at a development such as this is $2.6 million for infrastructure. That is a major impediment for developers. And one of the things I think that's been a success story with the city, the PACE Alliance, is we've been able to work with developers to address incentives that really help address the infrastructure and the cost entering the market, which is normally the infrastructure required for the sites. So this is a very exciting development that's currently under construction, and we're excited about the project and more to come on this in 2021. Let's go ahead, please, Karen. The other development that we have is the Boss Ridge Estates, and we actually have homes being built currently in Boss Ridge, but this was one of our first developments that we had. And as you can see to the west on this development is Highway T15. And if you were to look north of this is north of Boss London Drive on there, and it really oversees holes number 3, 4, and 5 of the Boss London Golf Course. But overall, we're looking at a traditional single-family housing development, roughly 43 housing units. And once again, when we looked at the city infrastructures and the city incentives on it, the infrastructure cost of this development is roughly $2.2 million, which was a significant hurdle. We were able to work with the developer and address that issue. And we're excited about the progress of this development. And there's, like we said, there's currently homes being constructed out there. They're going to be very nice additions to our community. Let's go ahead, please, Karen. Now, one of the questions that we've often received is, it's nice the housing in Pella, but what is being done for workforce housing? And I'm here to report today that we've made significant progress on the workforce housing front for the community. The Prairie Ridge development that we have showing right here is actually 118 housing units. And when you look at the infrastructure overall, the total infrastructure, and this is public infrastructure, is roughly $5.7 million. I would be remiss if I did not say a couple things on this. This is a significant item, But B, one of the things that the city of Pella was able to do is work jointly and cooperatively with the Marion County, specifically the Marion County supervisors, in providing infrastructure for this development. And I would like to thank the Marion County supervisors for their partnership on this housing development, because this development is geared towards workforce housing. It's exactly what the city and the county needs. And it's what private industry needs to be able to grow your business, to be able to attract those employees, particularly those young professional employees as well. But overall, this development is located, if you were to just go on the western edge of our community, it's located just west of exit 40 and west of Ulrich Ford is kind of the general direction of this, and north of Washington Street that we have up here. But it's an exciting development. The infrastructure, as Mayor DeWard said, has been installed. In fact, at the upcoming Planning and Zoning Committee meeting on Monday, we're going to be accepting another plat, and along with the infrastructure improvements on this development. So we're very excited about this. We've already approved roughly 12 housing applications for this development. But once again, this is geared towards owner-occupied workforce housing. Karen, let's go ahead, please. One of the items that we have, last but not least, is when we look at the rental market and workforce housing for the rental market as well. We do have, as Mayor DeWard stated, the Kading development, or the Viewpoint Condominium development, and this is located just west of the Ulrich Ford, and it really abuts up to the Prairie Ridge housing development again. But with Viewpoint is roughly a 92 housing unit development that's geared towards the rental market, workforce housing. So this is a need in Pella. Overall, we're very fortunate to have this development within our community. It's right around a $12 million project. So we are excited at the city of Pella. And we think it's going to provide a nice option for a lot of our rental folks, especially those folks that are new to the community that might not be in a position to buy a home right away, but at least we'll have additional rental units that are going to be coming online to satisfy that need. And Karen, I did see, I think that concludes our wrap up on the housing. I did see that we had at least one question on housing developments.
We did. And the question was, can you remind us of the total build out of the Prairie Ridge development and what that includes? We see phase one, but really want to know what is involved in the full plan for the 180 acres, number of housing units, commercial lots, parks, really what that would all entail.
Okay. Well, Karen, if we could go back to one slide, please, on that.
Sure.
Okay. We'll talk about
Whoops.
Prairie Ridge, and
There
this
we go.
is one of these things, as Mayor DeWard stated, we are working on additional developments with it. But really, when you look at the Prairie Ridge housing, initially, everything that you see in color up there on the screen is roughly, I believe, right around 98 single-family housing that will be provided up here. And generally speaking, we're going to have right around 20 units that are available for townhomes within this development. These will be owner-occupied developments as well. I can also state at this time, we are working on additional developments within this area, and I'm not at liberty to share those plans, but as Mayor DeWard stated, this is one of the exciting projects that we think there's going to be more to come for in the community as well.
And Mike, we have a couple more questions on housing.
Go right
If we
ahead.
can stay here for just a moment. When will the Viewpoint condos, so the Kading properties, be available for rent?
Okay, Karen, if we could go to advance the slide, we'll go to Viewpoint. Currently, they're in the process of actually still working on construction on the units, and I'd be, probably overstating my position if I gave a timeline on when those units can be rented. But we believe it will be safely sometime in 2021. Most likely sooner rather than later. But right now, I have not received an update from the developers when the units will be ready and available for rent. But we believe it will be soon in 2021.
Perfect. And we have one more question, and this is kind of a general housing question overall. Do you know how the demand meets the quality of housing being provided?
Okay, excuse me, Karen, you didn't come across on, I had a hard time hearing you on that question.
Oh, sorry about that. Do you know how the demand meets the quality of housing being provided? And I'm
How the
going to say
demand-
that might be currently being provided.
Yeah. Well, I could talk a little bit about the demand. It's my understanding on the demand and talking to the developers. They have had good, the ones that are in the business and have completed their construction or selling. Sales are going good for them. So we understand there is a demand for the product. Now, I would preface my comments when we look at the demand and the quality of housing. If you look down at the South Main development and look at the quality of housing, um, as I mentioned before, this is not only a showcase project for the city of Pella, but really for the state of Iowa. And I'd go as far as to say, if you were to look at the Midwest in general, that will be a very, very nice and attractive development as well. Same could be said for Boss Ridge and also Vintage Estates in the Boss London area. In addition, I think we're going to have a great product out at Prairie Ridge. The housing development that is taking place in Prairie Ridge from an owner occupied standpoint, the development is very similar to what's being built in the Des Moines metro area. And it's my understanding that type of housing has been very, very in demand at the Des Moines metro area. They sell very quickly. And based on the fact that we can see at the city of Pella, we've approved phase 1 of the plat, which is roughly for 21 housing units. And we've already approved applications for right around 11 to 12 housing units off that plat 1. So preliminary indications are sales are going very well in the Prairie Ridge development as well.
Okay, Mike, that was an excellent answer. And I actually read the question a little wrong, but I think you addressed another question that somebody may have had, but let me circle back. The question, I said quality, it was actually quantity. So is there enough housing for the people who are already, is there enough housing for people, or is the housing that is currently being built already reserved? As in, how is those that are going up? Is that meeting demand? Is it overbuild? How does that satisfy the need right now?
Well, I would think as far as the demand side of things, one of the things to keep in mind with housing is the city's a partner in the project. In order to provide housing development, and I would say just in general, the best way to characterize it, development is the lifeblood, one of the lifebloods of the community, new development on it. One of the key indicators when you talk about demand is for developers and their willingness to take a risk on things. When you look at really with the city getting in the development business, the housing development business, really in 2017, and the progress that we've made in 4 years with over 400 housing projects being approved at the city of Pella, that tells you that the demand is there from a private development standpoint. You have developers willing to take the risk. And we believe as the housing market develops and as new amenities that Mayor DeWard has mentioned come on in Pella on it, we believe that there's going to continue to be strong demand in housing for the foreseeable future. And we're excited about that. And I would also characterize this as the 400 housing units that have been made really since 2017. That's probably a good start for the community.
All right, thank you, Mike. And I don't see any more questions on housing right at the moment.
Okay, all righty. Well, let's talk about another exciting project that we have, Karen. If we can go to slide number 12, and Mayor DeWard mentioned this in his earlier comments on it. We have a very exciting project, and I've often got questions is what's the city doing actually on exit 40 down there? What's all the dirt out there? It's a very exciting project. And one of the firms that we're very fortunate to have within our community currently is Lely North American. For those of you that may not be aware, Lely is a worldwide leader in robotic milking equipment. Currently, they're located on the Vermeer campus. One of the things that's been a great news for the city of Pella is they decided to build their new North American corporate headquarters within our community. This is roughly a $22 million project. And when we look at the number of jobs that Lely currently provides, it's right around 53 jobs through this. It's our understanding that over the next 3 years, they're planning to expand their workforce and roughly right around 68 total jobs in our community, which I think is just fabulous. Now, in looking at the site, if you were to go out to exit 40, just south of Highway 163, down there in this green highlighted area, that is the location, the 65-acre location of the new Lely development. We are very excited about this development because for those of you that participated in the city's comprehensive plan update in 2014, you know that one of the key objectives of that plan was providing additional where a heavy industrial development could take place. So what we have with the Lely development is a 65-acre industrial development park. Laley and the corporate headquarters project by itself is a $22 million project on this. We anticipate that there will be room for others to locate down there as well. So this project really meets a community need. Now, similar when we looked at housing, infrastructure is always a need for these developments. And one of the things that we've been able to work with cooperatively with Laley is the extension of city public infrastructure out there. Now, when we talk about public infrastructure, I'm talking about the city's water mains, sanitary sewer main extensions to the site. In addition, we're also going to be improving 250th Avenue to where it can accommodate heavy truck traffic. So overall, we're very excited about this development. We anticipate Laley continuing construction on the site in 2021 and hopefully be able to open up the new facility in 2022. Okay. Now, Karen, if we could move on, please. One of the questions I know generally gets a lot of discussion on is city infrastructure. And as Mayor Waard stated, we spent a considerable amount of time during our budget deliberations talking about city finances, city projects. And one of the key items that we always focus on at the city of Pella is planned infrastructure projects. And I wanted to share with you, because I know this has been a keen interest from the PACE Alliance, is what is the status of the city's downtown streetscape program and the planned improvements in the downtown. 2021, we're going to continue with those improvements with that. And what we have planned specifically is phase 2 of the Osport alleyway project. And the map that you see here on this slide, everything highlighted indicates over the next 2 years, there will be some sort of infrastructure work planned for the areas. For the areas that are highlighted in red, which are the two main alleys in the downtown there, we are planning complete reconstruction in those alleys. For the areas highlighted in yellow, what that means is we are lining sanitary sewer mains within the downtown on that to extend the life of those sanitary sewer mains. There will be minimal disruption when we do complete the lining of the projects, but it's not complete street reconstruction on the projects. So Karen, if we could move forward and let's talk about what we're planning to do yet this summer is the Osport alleyway project. We're planning on phase 2 of the project, and this will be complete reconstruction of the alleyway project that we're looking at on our screen. We anticipate starting this project shortly after tulip time of this year. And hopefully, if everything goes well, we'll be completing the project before the snow flies for the winter of 2021 or later this year before actually December 1st of this year is probably an appropriate time as far as wrapping this project up. And we do have a map of the project. Karen, if we can go to the next slide, please. Now, what we're planning on doing with the parking lot here, and I'm going to preface my comments, there'll be more information coming out on the status of this project, the parking issue, because we know that this will be a significant area for our business community. And we know that this will be a temporary inconvenience, but it's one of these necessary infrastructure items that we're going to need to provide to be able to continue to upgrade our infrastructure in the city's downtown. But in essence, when you look at the parking lot that's just south of Washington Street and west of East First Street that you see up on your board, everything in gray, we are planning on reconstructing out there. And ultimately for the parking lot, the 75 unit parking lot that we have there, what we're planning on doing is installing underground stormwater detention in the area. And this is really going to help with stormwater detention overall in the city's downtown. And it's a significant project for the city of Pella. But this is probably the gist of what we will be doing in this area is installing underground stormwater detention. We're going to completely repave the parking lot as well. We're also going to be replacing the alleyway. And in addition, we're also going to be replacing the sanitary sewer main. So there's going to be a considerable amount of infrastructure upgrades taking place in this area during this upcoming summer. But once again, this project will start shortly after tulip time. And hopefully we'll be able to, the plans are currently is to have this project completed by December of this year. And Karen, before we entertain questions on this, which I'm sure there will likely be some on these two, the other project that we have in 2022 is we are planning complete reconstruction. And we commonly refer to this as the city staff level of the old City Hall alleyway. And this is as well. That construction is scheduled for the year 2022. This is the alley that's in back of the bakeries and just south of the tulip torn on this as well. But once again, this is planned for 2022 to take place. And I believe before we move on, Karen, be happy to entertain any questions that people may have on the two alleyway projects.
Mike, I don't know if you can answer this right now or if council has talked any further, but are there plans for the next few years or next upcoming years to improve things that would impact streets throughout the downtown area?
Mhm. Yeah, in looking at that, Karen, the preliminary conversations, well, the conversations we've had at the council is, I'm going to preface my comments. The improvements that we just showed you in conjunction with what we did last year was right around $3 million worth of improvements for the city of Pella. So they've been significant. They're significant in size and scope. But I think to answer the question directly, as far as a large street renovation or reconstruction of the entire downtown, what we're choosing to do is an incremental approach on that right now. And these are the projects that need to be addressed right now. We're going to continue to monitor infrastructure in the downtown as we go, but these are the items that we need to take care of. And these are the ones that we're hoping to get taken care of by 21, 22. And the best way to look at it is, I think it's like anything when you look at city infrastructure, we're always constantly monitoring infrastructure, and not to say there may not be projects in the future, but for right now, this will be the incremental approach in the foreseeable future, what we have planned in the downtown.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure if it's the Zoom call or 7 o'clock in the morning, but either way, I feel fortunate to be presenting on these weighty topics this morning. So, and sometimes the questions do really put you on the spot. Now, just saying this, I'm about ready to open myself up, but we'll briefly go over too, as I see that we're winding down in time, and I'll just give a very brief overview of some of the initiatives that Mayor Waard stated earlier. Karen, if we can go ahead and advance to the next slide. Now, at the city of Pella, we've often been asked the question, what is the city's plans for the community center? And what we have here, and what I would say on these major initiatives, we've talked about an incredible amount of new housing that's being built in the community. We're also working on additional development projects for the city of Pella. And this is a very exciting time to be at the city. And I would say the best way to describe these next two projects I'm going to talk about with this is really, when we're looking at the city council level, we're looking at projects that can enhance not only the quality of life in Pella now, but also in the foreseeable future, and projects that will allow us to sustain our growth and actually attract new residents to the community as well. One of the projects that we are talking about is renovation of the city's existing community center. We've had 3 different assessments on the community center. Those assessments have ranged in cost from $4.5 million to $14.2 million. The difference between all 3 assessments is it really depends on the level of accessibility that you're looking to add and really transform the facility on. In essence, the city council, this is one of the projects we are talking about and planning on, and the city council will need to be in a position as we proceed forward to determine the size and scope on these projects, but it is currently in the planning phase and the discussion phase at the city council level. And let's go ahead, please, Karen, on slide number 18. And as Mayor Waard stated, we're in the preliminary phases of discussions on an indoor recreation center for the community. This is a very exciting project for the city of Pella. I'm personally excited about this. A number of communities around Iowa have taken facilities of some form or shape that's taken this initiative on, including Indianola. The facility in Oskaloosa is currently under construction. But generally, when you look at indoor recreation, as Mayor Waard stated, there is a need in Pella. And the best way to describe this project is we are currently in the discussion phases at the city council. And when you look at these projects, and the best way I look at the projects is they're strategic in nature. And from our standpoint is we need to look at not only the growth that's happened now, but we also need to look at projects that can spur additional growth within our community. And certainly a new indoor recreation center certainly has that capability of doing that. We're very excited about the project. And as Mayor Waard stated, there'll be more news and information coming out on the status of this project here in the upcoming months as well. So with that, Karen, that completes our updates that we had, and we'd be more than happy to answer any questions, not only on the facilities, but for any other project that anyone may have on the city of Pella.
All right. Let's check in our chat here. And I would also, oh, there is a question here. Is there, off the topics that you covered in slides, but is there an update on the paving of 218th Avenue, and when would that be completed?
Okay, 218th Avenue, and I think as far as that that is concerned on 218th Avenue. I believe that the avenue that we're talking about is the road that abuts the city's soccer complex and also leads down to the Shady Brook subdivision. At our March 2nd meeting, we're actually going to be setting the public hearing date for that project, and we anticipate construction will be taking place this year on that project as well. Now, we will be starting up on Idaho Drive and extending all the way down through the Shady Brook subdivision. It will be converted from its current gravel road out there to a new urban street as well.
Perfect. And I'll open it up to other questions. I have given a little heads up to both Mike and Don that we were just going to have an open question and answer session as well. So if you do have questions on other projects, this is a great time to have a captured audience here and have the ear of Mike or the mayor. So I would open up. You can feel free to unmute if that's easier for you. But would welcome any questions. Mike, I do have one just to kick off, and I apologize for not asking it when we were talking about Pella Fiber. We have heard questions just being asked if there'll be public Wi-Fi available in different spots throughout the downtown or throughout the community, I guess. It doesn't have to be downtown.
Yeah, I guess that the quick answer, the easy answer is yes, it is in the utilities plans to provide public Wi-Fi. Previously with the mayor and council, we've talked about downtown public Wi-Fi in the city's downtown area around the central business district, around the Central Park on there. We've also talked about public Wi-Fi potentially in city facilities as well. So we realize this is a key need, and we are planning for that at some point in time in the future. Right now, the emphasis has been on completing construction on the 75 miles of fiber optic lines that we have and making sure that we have availability hookups for all residents and businesses. But yes, we are aware of the need of public Wi-Fi, and we are planning on doing it at some point in time.
Great. Okay, I do have a couple of questions that popped in relating to downtown infrastructure improvements. The first one, are the current downtown street repairs only underground projects, or is there still a back to brick project?
Okay, Karen, if you want to go back, and I don't have the slide number in front of me, but if we can go back to the Oastport alleyway project, I have it. It's right here at 14 and 15.
Okay. Give me 1 minute here.
Yeah, the answer is on the alleyway projects that we're currently going to be doing reconstruction. We're going to bid these projects both as an urban street or a concrete street, which you have, and we'll also do what's called an alternate bid, and give council the option if they'd like to accept an option for brick streets in there. So that decision has not been made on these alleyway projects on whether they're going to continue to be a concrete or urban street, or whether they will be a brick street as well. But the alleyway projects that we've shown in the overall map, I believe on slide number 13 or 12 or 13 that we had on there, everything in red will be street reconstruction that we have. Everything in yellow at this time will be underground utility work that we will be doing as well. So it's a mixture of both. There will be reconstruction projects in these alleyway projects where you'll have a new street surface on the alleyway. The other projects that we're planning in the downtown will be underground work, and there'll be lining of sanitary sewer lines in the downtown.
Okay, and Mike, you may have already answered this question with your comment about you don't know whether it's going to be pavement or brick in the alleys, but I'll ask it just in case you have anything to add here. Will the total reconstruction of the two alleys include making pedestrian walkway improvements, beautification, or just underground improvements? So will you improve the surface, basically?
Yeah. The alleyways, the surface is absolutely going to be improved with that. There'll be a new surface that will be installed in both these areas. The Oastport alleyway project, I think the fair statement is by the time we're through with this project, what we're hoping to do is everything that you see as far as gravel parking lots in that area will be paved in there. In addition, there's going to be stormwater enhancements in the area. So we think this is going to be a very big improvement for the city's downtown when we're completed with the project. So there will be enhancements in there. And then finally, just to cover it once again, when we talk about those street surfaces, is the city council will have to determine whether those street surfaces will be urban or a concrete street, or whether it will be a return to brick.
All right, thank you, Mike. Any other questions that we might have for Mike or the mayor? If you do, you can always drop them to myself, I can forward, or you can contact them directly via email. I want to thank both of you and all of the department heads that joined us this morning. Very informative. I think we all appreciate the great work that you do and also the great services that we get to enjoy because of that. So thank you again for joining us. I do want to wrap up with just a couple of other comments, just more on the activities here in PACE. I know a lot of, I see a few of you on this call that were a part of our Christmas activities and just decorations that we saw around the community and just that ambiance that was created this year. I just want to give a huge thank you to you, but also to let the rest of you know, this is actually a year-round planning committee. And you will see lots of great additions for next year Christmas. So I'll just put a little teaser in there. They are working hard at that. As well as our Thursdays in Pella group has already started planning the summer activities. There will be 9 Thursday nights this year. I would extend an invite out to each and every one of you as a member of PACE to be a part of those, whether you have a display, you want to participate, you want to sponsor. It's a great way just to thank the community, thank your customers, your employees for choosing Pella. And those themes will be announced next week. Christy will be sending out a newsletter from our office. So we're putting the final touches on those, but do take advantage of that opportunity. They're great for the community and it's a great way just to create that sense of connectedness. Also, we talked a lot about that housing and we need people obviously to move in, fill those. We want to grow our population, grow our employee base. Just wanted to let you know, new this year, we do have some digital ads that we are running that focus both on careers in Pella and also just our community. So we know that people will look to find a community in many cases before they find a job. So putting those out there in various markets, not necessarily Pella, so you may not necessarily see those ads pop up, but they will appear on some of the major websites, Reddit, HD, Christy, you have those, but it's a new initiative that we are trying to reach that younger audience that is really our target. So we're starting those campaigns in conjunction with Vivial, which is an SEO consultant, and we will watch the performance of those, tweak as necessary, but really hope those efforts of reaching individuals who may be outside of our particular traditional area that we see people move from will be effective. So with that, I know we are just a little bit over 8 o'clock here. We just really wanted to give you some updates on what is going on, not only at the PACE office, but at the city. So I want to thank you all for joining us, for getting up early. I hope you have a great Friday and watch for our newsletter next week. You'll see more details on upcoming events and the next time we'll get together. So thank you all very much. Have a great Friday and a great weekend.